Hello, this is Jack Neff, editor-at-large of Ad Age, and welcome to our latest edition of the Marketer's Brief podcast, our weekly discussion about marketing news and trends. Many brands never make it to 100 years old, but Kleenex did last year, and John Starkey, a relative newcomer who became president of North America Family Care at Kimberly-Clark in May, got to oversee a brand redesign and campaign behind the anniversary. In this podcast, Starkey talks about the responsibility that comes with overseeing a category-leading 100-year-old brand, including refreshing the logo without changing things too much, and launching a campaign that's a bit of a tearjerker. He's glad Kleenex doesn't have to strain to make ads with emotional appeal, because it comes naturally. Starkey also talks about why Kleenex marketing is a year-round effort, and why he has no need to root for a bad cold and flu season, because the brand is about much more than that. Hi, John. Thanks for joining us. And tell me, if you would, about how Kleenex is celebrating its 100th anniversary.
Well, thanks, Jack. It's great to speak with you. And I'm really excited to talk about Kleenex and our 100-year anniversary. In 2024, we just celebrated the 100-year anniversary after inventing facial tissue almost 100 years ago. And for 100 years, Kleenex has really embraced people in their most vulnerable moments and has continued to be a trusted ally. So last year, and going into this year, we really took this incredible milestone opportunity to reinforce the brand and the loyalty that we have, with the goal of really trying to bring cohesion across all markets while making sure that we infuse the brand's distinct point of difference and personality into what we do. We knew this 100-year anniversary was the perfect time to introduce a new global visual identity for the brand. And so we're proud to have recently celebrated this milestone by launching this visual identity that serves as a new platform for the new creative and really balancing the heritage of the brand that's been around since 1924 with modernity and relevance for the consumer of today.
As part of that, you adopted a new logo. Tell me why you decided to do that.
Yeah, that's a really great question. As we look at the brand, at the heart of what we're trying to do is really make sure that we really pulled the brand together across markets and really set it up to really be the standard bearer of the category overall. So at the heart of our new visual identity is a new crown holding device that houses the iconic Kleenex word mark in a singular, meaningful expression. And this design infuses modernity and a distinct personality to the brand while honoring the great heritage and iconic script that Kleenex is known for. The crown reinforces Kleenex's leadership status as the brand that really invented the category, but also the brand's core idea of delivering brand strength in those everyday moments of vulnerability.
How has it been accepted, would you say?
I think it's been accepted pretty well. I think what I've seen in my career is when you really honor a brand and honor the distinctive assets that have really carried the brand for a number of years, but then also look at those elements that can be contemporized and really drive distinctiveness, it's usually accepted pretty well by consumers. And so far, that's what we've seen with consumers as we've evolved the brand mark with this iteration.
It doesn't seem like there's a ton of change. You got the same font, but there's an arch to it now, basically, and it's in the crown. Was the idea to maintain some of the continuity in order to, well, leverage that 100 years?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, if you think about the actual font that we use, this has been the Kleenex font that we've leveraged on the brand pretty much since a notable rendition of the actual brand in 1961. So the curves of the script and the font are pretty much the same, but we've brought in a crown that reinforces Kleenex's leadership status. And we also wanted to unify our color palette overall by elevating the Kleenex blue as the anchor color for the brand overall.
How hard is it to roll out new branding globally, and how long does it take?
Yeah, I mean, I think this was a really well orchestrated effort overall. It can take a while, but I think in partnership with our global counterparts, I think we've done a really good job of ensuring that digitally we could make that change very, very quickly. It's a part of our new campaign that we've launched here in the US immediately. And so we're able to leverage that immediately. And on our core SKUs, we're able to launch it and leverage it pretty effectively right out of the gates in most markets.
How many brands actually get to be 100? Have you done a count?
I don't actually know the research of brands that get to be 100, but we're really proud that Kleenex is a 100-year-old brand that, I've been in the brand world for a long time. And one of the toughest things that you can do or you can hold on to is relevance. And that's one of the things that has allowed Kleenex to really stand the test of time is its continued relevance in meeting consumers' needs, particularly in those moments of vulnerability.
Yeah, it occurs to me as I asked that ad age is actually getting close to 100. I hadn't thought of that until just now, but
Oh, wow.
according to
Absolutely.
lore, we were launched right at the start of the Great Depression, and it's going to be 100 years from 29 pretty soon. So we're not too far. So I'll have to look that up. I hadn't thought about that, but I'm sure eventually we'll be doing the celebration ourselves.
Well, welcome to the club.
Yes, well, thank you. Thank you. In terms of the creative, there was a creative element of the 100th anniversary celebration too, I think. New video, new TV. Tell me a little
Yes.
bit about that.
Well, it's pretty exciting for me as we really think about Kleenex. We had new work that really launched with a new campaign spot called The Big Day. And this was really inspired by the emotion that parents and children experience during the back to school season. So, our latest spot, The Big Day, captures all the emotions that come from that big first. And I think it's something that we can all relate to. I've got two sons, and my wife and I still can recall that moment. And I think that's really what captures consumers' hearts and attention. And it's really part of an overall shift from focusing on function to emotion and really elevating the real and the relatable role that Kleenex plays in everyday moments and really capturing that snapshot. So the spot opens on a mother preparing her son for the big day, the first day of school. And just like we remember when we got those lists from school, the mother includes a travel pack of Kleenex into the backpack of her son. And, the ad follows their ride to school. You can see the nervousness of the young man throughout the process, ending with the school drop off, where the mom tears up and her son runs back to comfort her with the Kleenex. In the background, there's a cover of that great iconic Bob Marley and the Wailers song, Three Little Birds, that plays and adds that little extra emotional tug. And, this really has shifted storytelling on the brand in a more emotional direction and really plays with that shift. I think originally, because of that anticipation, the nervousness of the kid, you think it's about the kid that's going to be comforted. But, in the end, the young man gives a tissue to his mom to help comfort her as he confidently goes into school on his first day. So I know I had an emotional reaction when I first saw the boards. The proof in the pudding was when I shared it with my wife, and I could see her tear up. And everyone before we launched it that we showed it to could relate. All the parents that work in the building could really relate. But the thing is, you don't lose Kleenex in the role that it plays in the execution, which I think is really the power of the work.
Most, or at least many brands want to develop an emotional connection in their advertising.
Yeah.
And Kleenex has a pretty natural connection for putting emotion in ads, given what it does and people crying. Does that give you a built-in advantage in having ads that are emotional without people feeling like you're you're going off track in terms of relevance?
Jack, I think that's a great question. I think it does. And I think it ties into what we know and what we hear when we really lean into consumers and talk to consumers. Consumers obviously use Kleenex for cold and flu or allergy season, but we know people are actually grabbing boxes of Kleenex when they laugh, when they cry, and for so much more. So I think this campaign is really leaning into a variety of those moments, the shedding of tears, which you just mentioned, which is a natural situation, but really trying to bring those to life and really show how the Kleenex brand fits into the consumer's story in a natural way. It's really about putting Kleenex in the consumer story rather than telling a Kleenex story, in my mind.
You think of the facial tissue category as being beholden to the cold flu season, but how much variation is there really?
Well, I mean, Kleenex really is about all of life's moments, not just cold and flu season. So we know that if you put Kleenex or if Kleenex is available, consumers will use it. It's really about making sure that it's on hand and it's within arm's reach for consumers for those day-to-day needs, not just the cold and flu season needs.
I asked in part because I was looking at iSpot TV data yesterday as I was developing questions, and I noticed that brand spending is actually pretty stable year round, at least
Yeah.
TV, and at least has been for the past year. Why is that?
Well, I think it really ties into the role that Kleenex plays in consumers' everyday moments. Yes, it is clear that a great point of entry and a great point of adoption is cold and flu season, but there are so many uses throughout the year, and there's no reason that consumers shouldn't be reaching for Kleenex for those day-to-day, hour by hour vulnerable moments. So it's really important for us to make sure that we have a balanced plan that continues to remind consumers that Kleenex is that partner for those vulnerable moments every day.
Do you secretly root for a bad cold flu season just to help make the numbers, or and does that make you feel guilty?
No, no way. I mean, obviously, I don't wish a bad cold or flu on anyone, but what I am proud of is the fact that many, many years ago, Kimberly-Clark invented this product that has been an indispensable aid to consumers to give them relief and comfort to help them go through these situations.
Well, as I mentioned, I do have a cold, and hopefully it won't result in a coughing fit that will require any editing. But I do have a box of Kleenex on my desk, and I can tell you that it has helped consumption over the past few days anyway. But there's a lot more to Kleenex, as we have mentioned, than that.
Absolutely.
One question near and dear to my heart as a journalist, and it will, resonate with others who may have used or abused the Kleenex trademark over time, is that Kleenex is pretty legendary or maybe notorious for sending messages about misuse of trademark in stories, if anybody uses it in generic fashion to cover all facial tissues and to preserve that 100-year-old trademark. Is that effort as vigorous as it ever was?
Well, I mean, we'll always protect and honor our trademark, but honestly, we're not out here to play gotcha with consumers or go after consumers who mention us on social or in just casual conversation. We do want to educate people and honor our legacy, but we're really not out here trying to serve cease and desist to our consumers because of a social media post.
It would be a lot harder in social media than just back in the day when you only had to worry about traditional media. I would think, and so if you can, I get. Do you do any kind of like marketing around asking people to at least capitalize Kleenex when they refer to it?
We try to make sure that we honor the Kleenex brand and have people refer to it as the Kleenex brand. But beyond that, I mean, given the fact that I've been here within a year, I'd have to follow up on any more specifics related to that.
I believe the agency for the current creative campaign is FCB, right?
Yes,
Do you like working with them?
I do like working with FCB. This is my first time working with the agency FCB in my career, but the chief creative officer and the North American chief creative officer both are folks that I've got a long history with and have done some fantastic work in previous roles at other companies. So really excited to have the opportunity to work with them right now.
My understanding is that Turner Duckworth handled the new branding. How did they get that assignment, and how would you describe the brief that they got?
Yeah, well, Turner Duckworth has been a partner of Kimberly-Clark's for a long time. So we definitely have enjoyed working with them and proud of the work they've done on the rebrand. And the brief was in place before I got here, but it was really about, really bringing simplification, cohesion to the brand, really making sure that we honor and hero the things that the brand stands for in a way, while really bringing the right level of modernity to the brand as we look to the next 100 years of growth on this business.
Tell me some about your background and what brought you to Kimberly-Clark and Kleenex.
Well, that's a great question. I've been in the brand world for a number of years. I started my marketing career many years ago at General Mills. I started there as an ABM and worked on every business at the time except Small Planet Foods, Pillsbury US, and our international businesses. And then moved to Chicago back in 2010 to join Mars Wrigley, working across gum and chocolate and fruity confectionery over an 11-year time period. And then in 2021, had the opportunity to join Danone and lead the plant-based beverage businesses, as well as the overall beverage portfolio for a good piece of time. And then kind of around this time last year, I had an opportunity to hear from the internal recruiter at Kimberly-Clark about this opportunity. And I was really struck by, the opportunity to lead great brands like the Kleenex brand and the family care portfolio. And I have to say, I joined in April of last year, and I tell everybody that this is a dream job. I really feel like I found my tribe. The team on Kleenex, the team at Kimberly-Clark, and in particular, my family care business unit has a group of passionate, egoless folks that I'm really honored to have the opportunity to lead. So it was a tremendous opportunity, great culture, great brands, and I think the future is very bright given that mix for our family care business and the Kleenex brand.
What do you like best about working on Kleenex?
I just think the opportunities continue to be boundless for this brand as you think about the fundamental benefit that the brand provides, the product and its performance in those fundamental, vulnerable moments of need for consumers. I just think, there's so much continued opportunity for this brand to really be a partner for consumers in those moments of need. And I think there's tremendous room for growth. I'm excited. I think we're just scratching the surface here.
I think that is all the time that we've got for today's podcast. Thanks again for joining us, and great talking with you.
Jack, thank you. And I really appreciate the opportunity to give you a little bit of background on our Kleenex and our 100th year anniversary, and look forward to speaking with you in the future.
That was John Starkey, President of North America Family Care for Kimberly-Clark. And I'm Jack Neff, Editor-at-Large of Ad Age. I'd like to thank our producer, Lauren Ciardio, and invite you to subscribe to the Marketer's Brief podcast on your favorite player.
Marketer's Brief listeners get $40 off an adage.com subscription. Sharpen your marketing edge and visit adage.com/brief for your discount.